Dear students, let us do today with the third section of Unit 1 from your main book. If you see the third section, it is titled as Refugee Blues, which is actually a poem written by W.H. Auden. I hope you all know what do you mean by refugee. A person who is not on his own house, who is in a different land, in such a place where he does not belong to. So this particular poem will tell us about refugee. But who is this refugee? Let us find out. And who is the speaker in this poem, or the poet? What is he trying to convey us? Let us see. This poem will tell us the dangerous situation of Jewish refugees during the rule of the Nazis. You all might have heard about Hitler, Adolf Hitler, and his rule is also known as Nazi rule because he belonged from the party called Nazi. He was the leader of a particular political party, and the name of that party is Nazi. And the time period when he was ruling Germany, or when almost most of the areas of Europe was under him, that time period is also called Nazi rule. So now we will see that during his rule, this so-called refugee, who are these refugees? Why are they termed as refugee? So as I told you that this poem will tell us about the dangerous situations that the Jewish refugees had to face. And here the poet himself represents as a refugee in a foreign land with a companion. The land that the poet was inhabited by some around 10 million people. While some of them were rich and lived in mansions, there were also those who lived in extreme poverty. And unfortunately, the poet and his friend, his companion, they did not get accommodation in either place, not even in the mansion, nor in this, you can term it as a kind of slums, or those are living in extreme poverty. The poet here says that they belong to a wonderful land, but even the land to which they belong, they cannot go there because they had not renewed their passports. You know what's a passport? Your document of a citizenship of a particular country, and when you have to travel abroad, go to a different country, you need it to prove your identity. So the poet says that they cannot go back to their own land because they did not renew. Okay, it has to be renewed. The validity got expired. Now, when the council, the association, asked this poet and his friend for their passports, they replied that the passports had expired. The council, they made fun of this, both of them, of the poet as well as his friend. They shouted at them that with expired passports, they were similar to a dead person. But however, when they approached a committee to renew their passports, they were asked to come the following year, which means the next year. Later, the poet went to a public meeting where he heard the open protest of the citizens of the land for allowing refugees like him into the country. So basically, he is a refugee in the place where he is right now, as he does not belong to that country. He belongs from a different country, and the local people of that particular country were protesting of why are these refugees allowed. So later, after this, and when he heard the same discussion was going on in the meeting that refugees shouldn't be allowed on a different land, and this meeting was held by none other than Hitler. Hitler was demanding the execution of all Jewish people. Execution, killing. Okay? After that, it so happens that the poet sees various animals, and he envies them. He wishes, he admires them for not being involved with the politicians, as they were not human beings. The poet tells his companion, his friend, about a huge building that he saw, which could have actually accommodated them, right? As I told you that they were of nowhere, they had no place to stay. But he says to his friend that I saw a huge building where we could have easily stayed. But they were not accommodated anywhere. And as he was standing on the plain area, he saw a large number of soldiers approaching towards them through the snow. Why were the soldiers approaching? They were approaching to take them, to sentence them to death, as they were refugees. They does not belong to that same land. They were from a different place. So see, what a pathetic situation this particular refugees had to live in. It was really a very bad, dangerous situation. So the entire situations, the scenario in which the Jewish people had to live during the time of Hitler is described in the form of poem. I hope you understood. Please go through the text, and if you have any doubt, do let me know. Thank you.